Hi everyone, Quiveen here from the comfort of my kitchen. In today's video, we are going to be taking a quick look at the equinox. Of course, the equinox is the date where the length of the day and the length of the night are equal, and the equinox is occurring on the 20th of March. The equinox occurs on the 20th of March pretty much every year, despite the fact that leap years can change when equinoxes happen. There isn't really much variation in the date of the vernal equinox, which is this one, the spring equinox. It's the March equinox, which makes it the vernal equinox or the spring equinox for the northern hemisphere. It's the autumnal equinox for the southern hemisphere, the autumn equivalent to the vernal or spring equinox. Firstly, here is the sunset on the night of the equinox, so we can see the sky starting to get dark here at 7. We're seeing a couple of bright objects, Venus and Jupiter, the two brightest planets in the sky, the two brightest objects besides the moon and the sun. We can see the moon there as well, although it is just waxing at the moment, so it's going to be a pretty narrow waxing crescent. Yeah, we can see that very, very narrow. If we zoom back out a little bit, we should be able to see the percentage illumination. Yeah, 3.8%, so barely illuminated. We will move further into darkness. We're already starting to see Sirius here, the brightest star. It will be the second thing to come out after... Well, it will be the third thing to come out, the second type of object to come out after the planets Jupiter and Venus. And we can see Orion already coming into view, already over towards the southwest, and still plenty of orange-yellow glow here, even as we come up to 8 o'clock. We'll be a little past 8 o'clock. Here we are at about 8:15 before the sky truly gets dark. So we can see Gemini and Procyon due south and Leo completely above the horizon, nice and easy to see. We can already follow the handle of the plough, the arc of the plough to Arcturus, but we will need to wait until a little bit later before Virgo comes into the sky and Spica just down there. So here we are at just 10 to 11. Coming close to the end of the equinox, or coming close to the 24-hour date that we're calling the equinox. The equinox is similar to an eclipse or an occultation in that the exact moment it occurs, well, even though the exact time when it occurs is going to be a time for everywhere on Earth, the exact moment that the equinox occurs is a specific moment. It is a specific time. So it is going to be, well, we'll get to it in just a second. Before we do, here is sunrise on the equinox. We're here at just 5:30. We're already getting a little bit of an orange glow, so we'll come back a little bit earlier, a little closer to 5 o'clock. We've got the summer triangle completely above the horizon, nice and easy to see, and we've got Antares in Scorpius down towards the south just as the sun is rising. If we head out to the countryside, some of you will already know where this is going, but the glow of the Milky Way should be particularly visible. We can see it stretching from the south down here with Sagittarius and Scorpius up across the sky through the summer triangle past Cassiopeia and down the other side. So the Milky Way is visible early in the morning, very early in the morning, around 5 o'clock, if you are in a perfectly dark sky in the countryside. For example, if you're down in the Dark Sky Park on the Ivora Peninsula, which is having its Dark Sky Festival this weekend, just after the equinox, in fact, beginning on the equinox. So if any of you are in Ireland, that is something you can look forward to. We'll continue to move forward and allow the sun to rise for the equinox. As I've mentioned in the Irish language video posted last week, the equinox is the date when the sun rises directly in the east and sets directly in the west, but it doesn't look like it. It looks to be a little bit off. That optical illusion is explained in the Irish language video on Quiveen's content Os Gaeilge. But we're going to move forward to 2:45. Here we go. Here we are at 2:30. Just a little bit further forward. Here we go, 2:45. So we'll stop time just here because this is the moment of the equinox. This is the moment where the sun shines directly on the Earth's equator this year. So the actual moment of the equinox, when the sun shines directly on the Earth's equator, when the sun's position in the sky at midday crosses from the southern celestial hemisphere to the northern celestial hemisphere as viewed from the equator, that's really the moment of the equinox. Even though the equinox is a whole night and day equal in length to each other, there are various definitions for the equinox, and the more exact scientific definition is the crossing of the sun from one celestial hemisphere to the other. So it doesn't happen at midday for Ireland. That means that because the equinox is really happening a couple of hours, almost 3 hours after midday, really 2.5 hours after our local midday here in Ireland, but we'll stick with UTC just to be safe. Even though it's happening after midday, because it's happening after midday, that means that the 24-hour span of the equinox is really lasting until a little after midnight on the 20th. And it starts a little bit after, a couple of hours after midnight on the 19th. We have to wait until we're a few hours into the 20th before what we define as the equinox truly begins. So if we click on the sun here, we will get our rising and setting times. We can see it rising here at 6 hours and 37 minutes, setting at 18 hours and 47 minutes. So this gives us 12 hours and 10 minutes. It's not exactly the 12 hours we would expect. We can see moving forward to the 21st that they deviate further. The sunrise is earlier and the sunset is later. If we move back, we can see the exact same effect. The timing of sunset and sunrise is definitely closest to 12 hours on the equinox, but we're not in the exact right location to catch it. Not at the peak of the equinox. Certainly not catching the peak of the equinox at midday. We need to be in a time zone that is a couple of hours behind where we are now, so that the sun doesn't reach its midday 12 until it's already 2:45 here in Ireland. So that means we need to be ahead on the planet, further forward in its rotation. That jump is a tiny bit too big. That was a 3 hour and 10 minute difference in local time, so that makes the local time 11:34. We'll have to come back a little bit. There we are, 12:13, 2 hours 31. It looks like only a very small patch of land will be using that time. The very edge here, the eastern edge of Brazil, the eastern coast. If we move things around just a little bit more, there we go. UTC minus 246, so that's just about a minute off. It's a tiny bit off exactly where we want to be. We are a little bit off the equator as well, but we will correct that momentarily. This is giving us a day starting at 6 hours 4 minutes, ending at 18 hours 11 minutes. So that's giving us a little bit closer to exactly 12, but it's still a little bit off. We're still a little bit away from the exact best location. So we will move just to the equator to begin with, but we might also change our change our longitude as well as our latitude, just to make sure we're in the exact right place. So that brings us to the equator, and we're still getting, I believe, yes, the same length of day here. So 12 hours 7 minutes in total for the sun to cross over the sky from one horizon to the other. And that's really about as close to the 12 hours night and 12 hours day that we're going to get, because the sun appears to rise before it actually has risen. This is down to atmospheric distortion, and I go into more detail about it in the Irish language video. But this is almost exactly the right place at almost exactly the right time to see the sun as the equinox is occurring, seeing the sun at its midday height, exactly where it should be. We can test that by bringing up a grid. Here we go. We are a tiny bit off exact midday. As you can see, we are just at 11:58 rather than exactly at 12. And because we are at UTC minus 246 instead of minus 245, that may put us a couple of seconds off as well. But I do believe we can see just here, just after, well, yeah, 12:07. Here we are, 12:07, and there is the sun exactly in the middle of the sky, exactly at the zenith. So that is a little bit about the equinox, a little bit about what you can see at the equinox at sunset and sunrise, but also a little bit about the actual moment of the equinox, which is, for us here in Ireland, at 2:45, but if you are in the right time zone, it'll be at your midday. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it interesting. If you'd like to learn more about the equinox, you can check out the Irish language video on Cuivíon's content as Gaeilge. It is subtitled in English, so you can still enjoy it if you are not an Irish speaker. If you did enjoy this video, then please do like it. If you enjoy this kind of content, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you'd like to read this information written down, you can head to my website, cuivionscontent.ie. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you back here next time.